gentlemen, welcome back to Seven Circles. My name is Jonathan. Today's episode, I have Kreem Shakti. Kreem Shakti is an Ayurveda practitioner. She's going to be my guest today. I'm pretty excited. First time officially where I have a Zoom YouTube connection. So Zoom and YouTube are now connected, which means that I can do these podcasts I can do them absolutely in real time instead of recording it on Zoom and then uploading it, which takes a tremendous amount of time. And I also think that it takes some of the intimacy out of it because while doing it this way, those of you who are watching, you can actually ask questions directly. So Kreem Shakti, aka Amita Basra, she's the first guest that we have on, but we're gonna have many other people as well too. So we're gonna have Eli Tom Elamine, the famous breatharian. He's gonna be on live. We're also gonna have Les Brown, the world's best motivational speaker. He's gonna be on. And in addition to that, we're gonna have Sophia Stewart, author of The Matrix, the original author. She wrote the book in 1984. We're gonna have Sister Adama. We're gonna have Debs Shakti. We're gonna have many other people. Jonah, the Book of Jonah, aka Jonah Roger. So, and let's also not forget about Chase Clarence Calloway, and amongst many, many other people. I'm also looking to get Ra of Earth on again, and a lot of personalities that perhaps each of you guys are not ready or you haven't heard of already. So right now, what I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for Kreem Shakti to come on. I sent her a link. She should be on any minute now.
I'm here.
Oh, beautiful. How long have you been here?
I was just waiting for you to finish the intro to just pop my face up.
Oh, great. Thank you. So this is my first time doing it. So you heard me speaking the whole entire time?
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. So the reason why I have you on today, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Are you a mother? Because if you are, I want to say Happy Mother's Day.
I am not, but I have one and they're fantastic. So we should just say Happy Mother's Day to everybody. And I've helped a lot of people become mothers. So
Beautiful. Yeah, you were a nurse for how long?
I've been a nurse for 13 years, but I've worked in hospitals for about 16 years. And I own my own Ayurvedic business, so I no longer work in the hospital at the bedside.
And primarily, when you were a nurse, what was your your main position?
Most of the time that I was a nurse, I worked in labor and delivery, so I did high risk labor and delivery. Yeah.
Labor and delivery. So you did help a lot of people become a mom.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Thousands.
Thousands.
To be
Wow.
exact. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if I could survive that. I don't know if I could even survive one day of that.
First time moms actually survive about 3 to 4 days of it. They do it. So you can do it if you're gonna be there soon. Just know.
If you can do it, you can do it.
Yes.
All right. So Ayurveda, why do you change to Ayurveda? Because that's like on the opposite side of the spectrum, right?
It's true. I mean, I guess you could look at it that way. I prefer to look at it as a co-collaboration between the two sciences. There we have the Western allopathic model and then we have the Eastern models. And the beautiful thing about Ayurveda is that it doesn't just look at the body, which we typically only look at in the allopathic side, but we look at the mind, body, and spirit. And so it looks at the person as a whole person versus just through one lens. And it's a really beautiful way. But the reason I was called was personally for my own health. I stepped into Ayurveda to help, and that ended up just blossoming me from the inside out. And my friends and family started to notice. I started to teach them, and I saw the transformations that started to happen in them. And I was like, wow, I can really bring this science to the people and help empower them to become their own healers and take their health into their own hands. And that's where I landed up. And it's just much more in alignment with my values and
Yes.
my identity. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. One of the things that I like about it is that they use the assistance, and I want to put that out there, assistance of different types of plants
Yeah.
to bring the body, the mind, and the spirit into alignment versus using a medication that was created in a laboratory and had to be approved through the Food and Drug Administration.
Absolutely. So the beautiful thing about Ayurveda is that there are side benefits, no side effects, which you typically
Ooh.
see. I know, right? It's a good one. That they typically, or you typically see in the Western side. Because on the Western side, we're treating symptom management versus actually treating root causes. And Ayurveda is about getting to the root cause of an issue versus symptom management. And so therefore, a typical problem that people see, like high blood pressure, that's actually a symptom of something else that's going on inside that person. And we give high blood
Wow.
pressure medicine. I know, right? And they give high blood pressure medicine, and that ends up causing a lot of other things to go out of whack because that person's blood pressure is up for a reason. There's
Uh,
something
let's
happening.
let's stop right there because
Sure.
we just lost a lot of people this year. We lost Bob Proctor. We lost Jordan Maxwell. They were a little bit older. They were in their 80s. And in my opinion, that's young, but on the average way of speaking, we say that was a little bit older. And we know we lost Kevin Samuels, the dating coach who was 56,
Yes.
black male, African American, whatever you want to call it, melon dominated, and 56, and it's known in the black culture that most of the times that they pass away is due to heart problems, due to diabetes or heart problems. Those are the main reasons why we pass away as black people. So you talked about symptom management, which is something that they practice in the Western hemisphere of things in the medical field. And now in the Eastern thing, you guys get to the root of the problem. So when we talk about things such as heart issues, high cholesterol, heart congestion, whatever you want to call it, whatever black people are dying away from. This is not just about black people, but I do want to focus on this because this is an issue.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that the brother passed away at such a young age, 56, 56. That is extremely young. And he was, he was worth over $4 million. He done some great things. He did come off harsh in some type of ways, but he has also done some great things as well too. But anyway, let's go back to the heart issue versus the symptom management. So typically when it has to do with heart problems and somebody getting a heart attack or heart failure, I guess that would be the same as a heart attack. I'm not sure, but what would
Slightly
be
different.
slightly different? Okay, what would be the root issue of that? How would you attack or how would you address something like that versus treating just the symptoms of it? Would you say that it's a lifestyle thing? Would you say that it's a genetic thing? Would you say that it is a food thing, which would tie into lifestyle?
So that's the beautiful thing about Ayurveda is that it really treats every person like the unique individual they are. So not only do you take a look at the person as they were born and the spirit that they came into this world as, but you look at their entire life journey and all the imbalances that they enter and encounter throughout their life. Some that are chronic, which means that they're long term, and some which are acute, which means that they're in a short term kind of thing that's just happened. And because of that, there's not one root cause I can tell you that causes something for somebody. Everybody's plan, every client that I have has a very unique plan that doesn't look like anyone else's. And I have a handful of people who have blood pressure control issues that are going on, and each one of them have different herb regimens. Each one of them have different dietary restrictions. Some of them have not restrictions. Sorry, I want to say more dietary suggestions and different lifestyle adjustments that they've had to do. So while I'd love to answer that question and give you a one fit size fits all answer, that's the thing about Ayurveda is that it really gets into the individual and that takes time. And that's what I love about this science is that it will really help bridge the gap between people seeing their Western doctors and ending up in the hospital and also being able to kind of catch the problems in between. Because right now that Western system is so compacted and so overworked and so understaffed that you kind of need some people in the middle. And that's why holistic health is such a beautiful thing to actually become a co-collaborator with the already established allopathic field that's
Okay.
happening.
Okay. So let me ask you this because I'm looking at some statistics right now,
Hmm.
and it's called this is coming from the 10 leading causes of death amongst Black U.S. residents.
Yeah.
This took place in 2018. It says that Diseases of the heart. Okay, so that ties everything. It is 23.5%.
Hmm.
Okay, that's a lot. Then it talks about cancers, non-plasma cancers, whatever that means. That's 20.3%.
Yeah.
Then it has accidents, which is 6.2. It has cure, how do you say that? Cerebral cardiovascular diseases, which is also known as a stroke. That's
Yeah.
5.8. And then diabetes, which is 4.4. So obviously, heart disease is the first one. So you're saying that everybody is different. You need to treat each person as an individual. But as a collective, 25%, that is huge, or 23.5, which is roughly 25%, right? That is
Mhm.
that is that is a huge number. So
Absolutely.
obviously that there are some shared traits in that. So with
Absolutely.
that information that I just presented, how would you address a problem like that? Would you say that it is a lifestyle thing? Would you say that it
So
is a dietary thing? Because we do have something called soul food, and soul means the sun. And a lot of this food really isn't respecting that name, the soul food. It's a lot of fried foods in the black culture, the fried chicken, the chitlins, the other things of that nature, so on and so forth. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
I would say for sure, culture, which is food, would be a piece that connects to this. I also think that genetically that there are certain predisposing factors that could cause high blood pressure to become more dominant in certain races, and that's actually proven even through Western studies and things like that, as well as just stress levels and therefore and traumas and different ancestral lineages and things that get passed on. So it can become, I mean, high blood pressure isn't, when you look at high blood pressure, and again, we don't even call it high blood pressure in Ayurveda, we use different terms, but something that would be synonymous to high blood pressure, you're not just looking at the body, right? You're looking at the body, where diet would be one of those things. But then you think about the mental body, so stress, coping mechanisms, that's more the mental body, and then you think about the spirit and what the spirit has had to endure as a person of an African American or melanated descent, and what that means and what how that manifests through the body. So there's a multi-layer way of looking at this, and every person, even though this collective group has experienced similar circumstances, each person still has a individual life journey that they've been through.
Okay.
Does
So
that help?
it does help, but I'm pulling up again, and I hate to put you on the spot like this, but
That's fine. That's
this
good.
goes to the Caucasian race,
Uh-huh.
or white people, and it talks about diseases of the heart, and it's exactly the same as black people or melon dominated people,
I don't believe
which is
that.
23.5. So it's the exact same diseases of the heart, and then well, these are just the statistics. The other ones were from 2019. Okay, so it's a year difference. But again, the second one, which is cancer, that's roughly the same at 21. And then this one is respiratory. So respiratory is high versus the other one in blacks, where the number three in blacks, I forget what it is, but it isn't respiratory. And this one in the white
May I ask
community
what the source is of the list that you're reading?
is 6.2. Yes. So this comes from Statistica. Statistica, Statistica.
You also have to remember that the people who participate in these surveys
Yeah.
tend to be of a certain demographic versus other demographics, just in reverse, in when you think about time, access to answering, caring to answering, there's a lot of diversity in these statistical things. They are not actually well distributed. So I would always take it with a grain of salt. There are more there are more studies that have done that say black or melanated populations have a 3-time increase to deal with cardiovascular events, which would be of the heart, and that is widely supported. So even though your statistics may say that on the statistica.com, I do not put too much weight into those numbers, to be honest. Just
All right.
given my knowledge, yeah.
So with this being said, I just found it interesting that it was both 23.5 in with heart related issues.
Hmm.
So if there is a thing with heart related issues, right, and that means attack of the heart. Like when you look at a heart attack, that means the heart is being attacked. That means that love is not being acknowledged. That the person maybe needs some self love or some type of love that is lacking. Would you agree with that?
I think on a spiritual plane, that is definitely a part of it. Then, if you think about the physical symptoms, would be there could be an actual blockage that's stopping it.
Uh,
And then
that
if
is
you think on
blocking
the
the love
mental
from.
level, there could be so much stress that the heart is unable to function. So there's different ways of looking at it. But for sure, I would say that.
How do you determine as far as what type of herbs you would give a person?
It depends on their balance, the way that they were born, as well as the imbalances that they currently have going on in their body.
So this has to do with something called praktiki, which would be what type of dosha that person is.
Yes, their innate balance. And then actually what's more important is their Vikriti, which is the imbalances that they currently have going on. So a lot of people, there's a lot of questionnaires out there that help people understand what their doshas are, which is fantastic because I feel like everybody really needs to understand their innate being. But what actually goes way more into knowing what herb to take are your imbalances that you're happening. And then if you are taking any medications, there are, ways that you need to check on what medications you have versus some herbs because there is some interaction with some herbs and some medication. And so there needs to be exercise caution when you are taking heart medications, for example, when you take herbs.
We know that the Western world, when they use medications, that a lot of these medications, the base of them are actually herbs, and
Yeah.
then they might add some other types of ingredients or whatnot, or they might put them through a process where you're changing the chemical structure of them through the medium of heat or something of that nature. Would you say that some of the herbs that you use are actually the same herbs that are used in medications? Is that is just actually in their raw form versus being transformed?
Yeah, so medications are usually a synthetic compound that is mimicking the sequence that's in an herb. And there are a lot of correlations between herbs that are used versus what has become in the Western world. And that's why some of them do interact because then they're kind of compounding, meaning that they're building upon each other, and that's what's happening. The nice thing about the herb is that as we're talking here about Mother's Day is that it's coming from the earth. It's coming from the biggest mother that there is, which is this
Mm.
Pachamama, this mother earth that we live on that provides life to all of us. None of us would be here without the sun and this earth, and that I think we all can come to an agreement on. So when you're having something from the earth, the thing is our body has what we call an innate intelligence. When you put that herb in your mouth, one moment it hits your tongue, your body starts to understand what it is. It starts to give the right digestive juices to your stomach so that you can actually digest the herb because it knows what it is, because it's from the earth, just like we are, you know? But however, when you're taking a medication or a pill, our bodies do not know what that is. It doesn't know. So it's breaking it down and it's actually going way more through the process of going through our liver and getting cleared because in our way, our body doesn't know what it is. So it's going to take it as something that's foreign. Whereas with an herb, it knows it just like it knows what a carrot is. It knows what a tomato is. It knows what lettuce is. Not a good answer for you.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because it's alive, right? It's alive. It's organic, and it's just basically organic. Speaking of organic, is one, how would you say it? It's one enzyme speaking to another enzyme.
Hmm. Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
really good way of putting it.
Okay. Cool. So, what do you plan? What is your vision for Ayurveda? Do you see it pairing up with the Western society, or do you see it slowly but surely, maybe perhaps replacing it? What do you think the position of Ayurveda is within the Western Hemisphere?
I think in the Western Hemisphere, a great goal is to become a co-collaborator with the allopathic medicine. You know, there are strengths and weaknesses to everything. As much as I love Ayurveda, I am not going to sit here and stand on a soapbox and tell you it is a cure-all to everything because it really requires balance. And sometimes when someone doesn't have the time to, like, if you're in the middle of a heart attack, you're not going to sit there and figure out the root cause of what's going on. If there's literally a blockage in someone's vein that's stopping the heart from working, you need surgery. I'm a 100% advocate for that. And Ayurveda does have a whole book, a samhita, a whole instruction on how to do surgery. So Ayurveda also does, support surgery, but surgery is the answer and not answer, because you need to get rid of that blockage so the heart can pump, so circulation can happen and air can go to the lungs and then be distributed to the rest of the body. I think trying to replace a system is something that's going to be seen there's going to be a lot of resistance to it, and I think just coming at it as a co-collaboration is a way better idea, and we could end up learning a lot from each other. Honestly, I think just as sometimes I don't always agree with something that somebody says, and I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum of what they think, if I just open up my heart and listen, I actually learn quite a lot from that person's view, even though I don't have to adopt that view. I don't have to like it, but I can learn. And honestly, that's what we're all here to do. We're here to learn every day. So,
That's a beautiful answer. I appreciate that. So, two of the main things that I know that people have addictions to when it comes to food,
mhm.
and again, I'm just thinking about like let food be the medicine, let medicine be the food. That's hypocrisies, right? So, two of the biggest things. One is sugar for sure. I think that's the biggest drug in the whole entire world. And ironically, the way that you make sugar is, I want to say, 95% similar to the way that you make cocaine. The process is very, very similar. I had two documentaries and I put them side by side and I literally watched them and it was
Mhm,
almost exactly the same.
mhm.
From the adding the chemicals to it to the drying process to everything.
Wow.
And it's hugely addicting. But then the second one would be salt. I don't think people realize how addicting salt is and sodium is. And both of these can contribute to inflammation. Both of these contribute to an array of different diseases and alignments that takes place within the human anatomy. When it comes to Ayurveda, how would you look at, and I know you have to look at things such as doshas and praktikis and everything else that you spoke of, right? The
Yes.
different elements that make up a being. But speaking in a general term, what would be some things that you could implement in one's diet to perhaps lessen the grip of sugar so that they could begin to get more control over their life? Because I mean, you look at sugar, man, it thickens the blood, aka diabetes. It eats away the teeth, aka you know problems of that nature. It messes with the nervous system. It's literally like acid to the body, and if you look at it, like in retrospect. So I think it's important to really address this. So again, just going back, like generalizing, what would be some herbs that you have that you think that it would be good for someone to start taking to perhaps lessen the grip of sugar?
So, honestly, the best way to deal with any kind of sugar or food addiction, sugar, salt, spicy, whatever, because even spice, too much spice can make people sick. Bitter can make too much bitter can make someone sick. I feel like sugar and salt always get a bad rap. And in Ayurveda, all six tastes, there's sweet, salty, pungent, which is spicy, sour, bitter, and astringent are supposed or should be in every single meal. You should have all six tastes in all meals. And when Ayurveda says sweet, it doesn't necessarily mean sugar. There is a sweet taste in wheat, there is a sweet taste in rice, there is sweet taste in certain vegetables. So sweet doesn't necessarily equal sugar. And the sweet taste is actually really important to have in your diet because the sweet taste is what gives us a sense of comfort. It gives us a sense of calm. But the thing about sweet and sugar, salty and sugar, is they're both really predominant in the earth element. And when you have things that are predominant in the earth element, think about what is earth. Earth is very building, it's stabilizing. So if you are already experiencing, phenomena of having too much weight on your body, you're going to be building on that weight with these two particular tastes. The other thing about the sweet taste is, yeah, it initially gives you that sweet hug of satisfaction, but if you keep getting that hug, you don't want to do anything because you just feel content and you're just kind of, there's nothing that's really driving you, right? Then with salt, it's very rough, right? Salt itself, and it's can drive dissatisfaction. So it makes it so that you're not happy with what you have and actually really drives consumerism. So if you actually look at, there's salt in everything in this country. It's hiddenly added so that people continue to consume salt because it actually drives the consumerism in this country, which is crazy. So if
I
once you
used to
actually,
be I used to be a chef at this one corporation, and I'm not
Mhm.
going to say the name of it just for just for contra. What am I saying?
Yeah,
Just for confidential terms. One mechanism that we would use while we was in this corporation is that if we wanted to increase the beer consumption to increase alcohol sales, what we would do is we would add extra salt. And this was when I was a cook, not like a manager, not like a chef. I was a cook and I was younger. I probably was about 18 or 19.
hmm
They will put extra salt on the tortilla chips, knowing that when people eat the salt, that they will want to drink more beer. Thus, if they drink more beer, alcohol sales will go up. And this was many managers at this specific corporation that's still in existence today, aka a restaurant, and they practice this method. So it's interesting that you say that because this does take place. Yeah.
absolutely. It's everywhere. A very common grocery store that everyone loves that's got two names to it. And I'm not even going to, same for the same reason I don't want to have any reason that this video can't be here, adds sugar to their salad dressing, their pre-made salads, and they're really well known for their pre-made salads. People go specifically to this store, and it's nationwide, to get their salads, and yet there's sugar in the salad dressing. And you think, oh, these people are trying to eat healthy, yet they're consuming quite a large amount of sugar in the salad dressing. So this is a very common thing to be seen, and so the best way to reset your taste buds is going to be abstinence for about 72 hours, and that is not the easiest thing to do. And so I always recommend to my clients to use some sugar substitutes, especially with the sweet taste, to either have a little bit of honey, and when I say a little bit of honey, I mean a little bit of honey. You just get like the tip of the spoon, kind of little bit of honey. You don't take like a big spoon and keep eating because there's actually a lot of sugar in honey. And then also same with dates. You can have like one or two dates to kind of just really evenly keel that off. And if it's late at night, always go for just a light piece of fruit because we really don't need to be eating past 8 p.m. And the people who are addicted to sugar and have attachments to food tend to be night eaters. It's a very emotional space for people to go into eating because that is when the moon comes out. That's when the chand is there, and that divine feminine energy brings in that feeling body, and we get a little bit more in our emotions, and we reach for that sugary sweet thing because it makes us feel good, and also to not make you feel bad about that. I mean, like we're all humans, and sugar isn't stuff, and you've most likely been exposed to sugar in your life. But abstinence is the best way. I do have a video on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. I'm Kreem Shakti, KreemShakti. Oh my gosh. Let me do it again. Shakti. And I have a little tincture that you can make that will help kind of accelerate the cleansing of your tongue and your mouth. And it's a little tincture that has all the six tastes in it. I'm not going to go on into how to make it here just because it'll take up some time. You could try incorporating something like that. Or you can even just slowly cut down. There's different ways, and like I said, everybody's different, so there's different ways to go about it. You can slowly cut down. You can either just have like one bite of what you normally would have versus having the whole thing. You have to figure out what works for you. But really, the quickest way is
Indeed.
abstinence. And then when you go to that thing that you love, you're gonna have one or two bites, and you'll be like, it's really good. You're gonna get that satisfaction, but you're also gonna be like, wow, this is really salty, or wow, this is really sweet. Or even like with garlic, like I love garlic, but I really don't have a lot of it because it's not the best for me. And when I have a garlicky sauce, I'm like, oh my God, it's so good, but I can feel the garlic in it, pretty immediate. So
Indeed, indeed. Let me interject really quickly, and I
sure, no
do
problem.
agree. I do agree with what you're saying. It's like when you're fasting and then you try something and you're like, "Wow, I never knew this piece of lettuce has so much flavor and taste in it." Things become heightened because your taste buds are now more sensitive to pick up those different characteristics of the food that you are eating. When language is different, and it can make people unaware. And what I'm getting at is when you say things like a sugar substitute,
Mhm.
under that name sugar substitute falls many different items. Just
Sure.
like even under the name sugar falls many different items. So if you say to somebody, hey, stay away from sugar, that person would say, oh, fruit has sugar in it. Oh, dates have sugar. Oh, honey has sugar. And people just automatically clump that into sugar. But there are many different characteristics. So when we talk about sugar substitutes, I know you gave a couple. You gave honey, and then you also gave dates. But the most common ones that are out on the market would be things such as Splendor, would be
Oh,
things
no, that is not what
would
I mean.
yeah, this
Thank
is why I'm
you
trying
for
to get some
picking up on
clarification.
that.
There would be things such as Splendor. There would be things such as sweet. What is it called? NutraSweet.
Sweet and low, I think is one of the packets. I think about like the yellow, the pink, and the blue packets that they
Yeah,
put on the table, right? When you go to
yeah,
eat.
exactly. So a lot of
Yeah.
people, and then they will start to consume the diets. I can have a regular Coke, it has sugar in it. Let me get a diet Coke. Let me get a diet this. Let me get blah blah
Oh.
blah. But you're not speaking in terms of that. Would you or are you? Would you recommend any of these sugar substitutions, quote unquote?
Oh, you give me a lot to talk about there. First thing is, yes, thank you for catching that. I do not mean have sugar substitutes in the way of Splenda or Sweet and Low or any of the other ones. The only one that I know so far that I've heard, and I don't personally haven't tried it, so I couldn't tell you, is I know people like to use monk fruit. However, other than that, these are chemical compounds. They're very similar to having a pill. Like, okay, if you're trying to go switch from taking, Advil for inflammation and then interpreting having turmeric in your diet to help with inflammation, which turmeric is a great herb, but I just want to put it out there because so many people are using it nowadays, is that it does thin your blood. So if you're on blood thinners for any reason, please, please be mindful of turmeric because it will make your blood even thinner. And I've been hearing of more and more people who have been getting really ill because of this. But it does help really well with inflammation. So you same thing. Like, why would you go to have a sugar substitute that's been chemically made rather than having sugar? At that point, I always advocate if you really need to have some sugar, get yourself some raw sugar and make whatever it is that you want to make. You can also use coconut sugar or date sugar. They're also great things to use in baking or when you're making something that is asking for sugar. Do that, just have that, just indulge in that versus having these fake things, because in the end they're going to do way more damage to your body and you can actually start to have cravings from it. And when I was younger, I actually experienced a lot of problems from having Splenda in drinks, and it just really wasn't good. And I noticed that a lot of my clients having a lot of the same symptoms, just dizziness, headaches, and it's actually quite common. I'm not even going to get into sodas. I'm actually going to make a video about this very shortly. Sodas on every level are very, very carcinogenic and bad for your body. If you're going to again have a sweet drink, I suggest you make it at home with raw sugar or with honey to sweeten, and enjoy your drink that way. And another good thing for salt is if you're using still the normal table salt, I really highly suggest that everyone switch to Himalayan pink salt. It has a lot more minerals in it, and it also is shown to be less harmful to the heart. So, especially if you are in these groups that Jonathan was discussing earlier, it's good to switch your table salt to pink Himalayan salt. I have seen a lot of people see some good benefits from that as well.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that this was a lot of information, really helpful. I know today's Mother's Day. I know a lot of people are out standing in line at restaurants, probably indulging in some sugar and some salt. But yeah, so I really appreciate you coming on. This is the first time that I'm actually going live on YouTube where I have a Zoom happening simultaneously. So this was a really nice venture. And if people wanted to reach you, I know you gave all your information earlier. Let's just go ahead and run by that one more time. What platforms are you on? Do you have a website, anything like that?
sure. Yeah, I am on Instagram, on TikTok, and YouTube, all underneath Kreem Shakti, which is KreemShakti. And then you can check out my website is www.unlockingthejoy.com. And I have my email on there as well as my phone number. I'd love to hear from you. Any questions that you have, I'm here for you.
Beautiful. Hey, Amita, I want to say thank you so much for coming on today. And I
Thank you for
hope that
having
you have
me.
a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year, and a great life. My name is Jonathan. Thank you for tuning into Seven Circles. Until next time.
Thanks.